In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
The eagle is flying. And it's a good day to be flying. Beautiful day, not too humid, not too hot. Great day if you want to go to the Whaling City Festival and enjoy the great outdoors and the good food too. Welcome to Saturday and Freedom Fools. Yeah, seems like I was just here yesterday and glad to be with you on a Saturday, July 12th. If you happen to be over at Buttonwood Park today, look to see if there are any bald men or bald women. It is Bald is In Day. Bald is In Day. Look, I can vouch for that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A day after he was shot in a duel with Aaron Burr, former Continental Army General and the first Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, dies. You know, we ought to make a play out of something like that. Really interesting when you think about Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Apparently, they had been feuding for a number of years over this and that, a lot of it being political in nature. For instance, Aaron Burr was running for the U.S. Senate, and this is back in the days when legislatures decided who would be your next senator. And apparently, Burr ended up winning and beat out some guy by the name of Schuler. Now, to you and me, what's the big deal? Just happened to be Alexander Hamilton's father-in-law. And the father-in-law was a Federalist, or at least supported federalism. And if you know anything about Alexander Hamilton, he is the godfather of the Federalist. Never mind the Federalist Papers. He brought the Federalist Party to fruition. So there is a lot of that kind of tit and tat going on, tit for tat, going on between Burr and Hamilton. And then finally, I guess the push came to shove. And they went out there and they decided, yeah, I guess we're going to duel. And so they got on boats. Both were New Yorkers. They got on boats and they went across the river to New Jersey. And that's where it all took place.
Ready! Present!
2 shots. Apparently, the shot from Alexander Hamilton went into a tree. The shot from Aaron Burr went into the abdomen of Alexander Hamilton. And Hamilton died the next day from that gunshot wound. The sound there, courtesy of the History Channel. So it was a reenactment. They did not have recorders on that particular day recording that particular incident, but there were witnesses. There were witnesses. And I bring this to your attention because Aaron Burr was charged with murder. He was charged not only in New Jersey, where the event took place, but also in New York, where they both lived. Aaron Burr was Vice President of the United States of America at that particular time. Do you think he got off? I'll tell you, he never was tried in this case. Come to find out that all 18 states, we had 18 states at that particular time, all 18 states already had laws in the books against dueling. Now figure this out. Every state had a law against dueling, but nobody wanted to really press charges because dueling was an honorable thing. Dueling was considered honorable, especially about the upper crust. And I would say to you that if you're the Vice President of the United States, if you are the head of the Federalist Party, if you are the former Secretary of the Treasury, you are in the upper crust. Both Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton were lawyers, both from the grand state of New York. Funny thing about this guy, Hamilton, you know, nobody questions his brains, except maybe on July 11, 1804. But Hamilton was known to be a dueler. Again, this was known as a code of honor to duel. And Hamilton was known to have had at least 10 code of honor affairs. Now check this out. 3 of these affairs, 3 of them, Hamilton wasn't the main man. He was the wingman. He was sticking up for some other person. Now imagine this. Alexander Hamilton is married, has a child who just happened to have lost in a dueling match about 2 years prior to this one. Now imagine Alexander Hamilton saying to his wife, "Hey, got to take off. I'm the wingman for some other guy who's going to have a duel." The wife is probably just sitting there, well, you know, this kind of things that go on, even though it's outlawed. Hey, remember to bring back some milk and bread. Of course, when he came home, he came back with a bullet without the bread or the milk. Who does that? Who does that? Who says, "Honey, I'm going out. I'm the wingman for Millard"? Just happens, you know, I can see why Millard was in a duel because somebody said, "Hey, you're Millard." These are the people that founded this country. And they're out dueling. Hey, what are you doing Saturday? I'm going to have a duel over there by the barge. What does that tell you? Now, if we're talking Monty's Park in New Bedford, that's not a duel. That's known as a gang fight. Gang warfare. How come it's okay for a vice president and a former secretary of the Treasury, but 2 guys down in the South End, or maybe one from the West End, one from the South End, they can't duel? You know, I hear boxers. It's about respect. I hear football players. It's about respect. And I hear gang members. They don't respect us. They don't respect me. Maybe we should get to the point where we consider bringing dueling back. Maybe dueling could stop some of the other crap that's going on. Maybe we have dueling and make it okay for Trump to take on Putin. My guess is there would be a lot of people that might want to take on President Trump with the way that he mean-mouths other people. That would be a code of honor thing for that. And what do you think Donald Trump would do? What do you think Donald Trump would do? Somebody is calling him out for saying stuff about them. Joe Biden. Well, yeah. I got to say it anyway. Joe Biden. President Biden. Can you see an old dude's duel? Biden against Trump. And I can see Biden trying to walk back. And he goes to turn. No, it doesn't look pretty at all. It does, but maybe we could stop a lot of major wars by having the leaders fight it out. Oh, we've got Zelensky and Putin. How about those two go at it? Let them have a duel and let the innocent folk live. Good idea, bad idea. How about Congress? How about Congress? We could have political leaders in Congress. AOC against Johnson. Johnson! Yeah. How about that? Who else could we get? Chief Warren against Ted Cruz. Now, that would be pretty good. And maybe we can do like tag team dueling, where Fox goes up against MSNBC. Would that be pretty cool? Oh, I can't take it anymore. I can see it now. I don't know. I know one anchor over at MSNBC. I mean, I know her because I used to work with her, Alex, and she, she's getting slapped around and she takes her hand and reaches out and boom. All of a sudden you got Morning Joe getting in there and taking on whom, why not do it like that? And it's all entertainment to the yous and me's. But the best thing is we don't have to spend a lot of money on the war, like tax dollars. And we don't have to see innocent people getting killed. I think this is a gain for the people. And if our political leaders would really get out there and duel, at least we know that they really mean what they say. So that would be my suggestion. Let's let the political leaders do a code of honor. Make America great again, Mr. President. Get out there and duel. That's what I would suggest. All this leading to the Brian's B quote of the day, which is courtesy of the late Alexander Hamilton. The nation which can prefer disgrace to danger is prepared for a master and deserves one. Pretty good, Alexander. If you had only used your head on July 11, 1804. The nation which can prefer disgrace to danger is prepared for a master and deserves one. The Brian's B quote of the day. There is some good news. It actually happened yesterday on the heels of Bitcoin hitting $113,000 and setting a new all-time high. Yesterday, Friday, it got up to $118,000. Now, I haven't checked yet today. I'll probably get to that after the show. But it just goes to show you, Bitcoin always lasts, never cries. Bitcoin I want to thank Kristen for actually giving me that piece of information. Let's hear from you at 508-996-0500. What do you think of dueling? Is it something you probably have to put some rules and regulations into it? And I think this would be good. You know, instead of the big gang fights, you know, we talk about Chicago, we talk about New Bedford. But instead of the big gang fights, you want to have a duel. But you have to get a permit for the duel. And so you would go, in this particular case, to New Bedford Police, if they're not going through a brownout. New Bedford Police authorize the duel. And you choose your weapons. Pistols, swords, I don't know. Machete? But you choose that, and because here in the Commonwealth we have to have somebody, if there's somebody that dies on hand, you have to have some kind of person that's going to say, ready, shoot, aim. You can make it an event. You've got the Crips, you've got the Bloods, you got the West End, you got the South End. You've got MS-13 and whatever other gang. And you just say, okay, top dogs, this is your chance. Everybody ready to rumble or duel? And you have the duel, and that's it. Now, if there's some mean-mouthing going on during the week, you can always file papers and do another duel. That way you don't involve everybody. The police know, so, you know, the crime statistics aren't really going to go up. Best thing is, because this is about honor and a code of honor, you don't have to worry about going to jail. Because everybody understands why you had the duel. And they're going to say, well, look, the other guy knew what he was getting into, or the other woman. How about women? Yeah. Let's get some women involved in this. Why is it always the men? Because the women are smarter. But besides that, I think that there's always that silver lining that you try to look for. And I think dueling could be that silver lining. You know, with dueling, you don't have to worry about the nukes. That's a good idea. Dueling instead of nukes. And speaking of nukes, might as well get this in before we take our first break of the day. I heard during the ABC News, Iran is willing to negotiate over nuclear stuff. But they want assurances first that there will be no more attacks. Huh? Who's going to give you that assurance? Are you talking to the United States? Are you thinking that Israel is willing to, they might say they won't attack, but do you trust them? If you're the Iranians, do you trust them? Do you trust the United States? And I'm no fool. If you're the Israelis, you already don't trust the Iranians. And my guess is the United States has a limited line on whether or not to trust the Iranians. So who's really going to do good faith negotiating there? Hey, end it with the duel. That solves it all. Everybody knows what's at stake. I think Israel and Hamas, the leader of Hamas, do a duel. Do a duel. And maybe it's a winner take all. And I don't mean river to the sea. I mean, yeah, you got your Israel. If the Palestinians win, they get their Gaza and the West Bank. A lot easier than what we see going on right now. a lot less expensive than what we see going on right now. And it's better than, okay, we're going to chop off somebody's head or chop off their hands. So this is not a libertarian type ploy. What it is, hey, you've got people who are disrespecting others verbally and certainly, as we can see, militarily. Many an honor has been busted. There is a thing known as the Code of Honor. It has been outlawed for a couple of centuries. Maybe it's time to consider bringing it back so leaders of nations, leaders of gangs, they can resolve their issue, and the yous and me's, heaven forbid, we get on with our life.
Power to the people.
That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves.
Well, I guess you'll get your chance in court, Mr. President. But that might be a good duel. The president, and I don't know who you're going to name as the ringleader for the folks that are busting into the country. We're busting into the country because this president, to his credit, has our military along the southern border, and we don't have anywhere near the amount of people coming into the country that we had prior. So my tip of the hat to that. But, all right, we got to get a duel up with the president and somebody who's going to stick up for the illegal immigrants. Don't know who that person would be, but I think it would be an interesting duel. Who would win? I don't know. Wouldn't you like to, make a little wager on that one? Who would win? Here's another one. All the talk in the city of New Bedford. How about Mayor Mitchell in a duel against City Council President Shane Burgo? They're going back and forth about the city budget. Now, I don't think that they're really that angry with each other, but, things get hot when you start talking about budgets. And I do believe, they could duel it out, and the winner of the duel, either the cuts stay or the cuts go. 508-996-0500 to get on to Freedom Fools today. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. How we doing?
I am. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, it's just crazy that what we're going through with all the stuff that's happening. But, there's three people that we should really go after. In the last administration, was the Homeland Security guy, the vice president, and the president. So, they're the ones that really allowed this all to happen. And now, people struggle to get into this country. Him letting everybody come in, now they're going to struggle and they're going to get thrown out. And it's, the human beings are the ones that suffer through all this stupid stuff that they allow.
So let's do a duel.
So we should have a duel. We should have Biden, Harris, and that Homeland Security. I forgot his name, but, it's just, they're the cause of all this problem right now that we're going through. They should be ashamed of themselves. And everybody in the administration as well, too. All the Democrats. So they should have spoke out. I wish Fetterman would. I really like Fetterman. He's
You want him to duel somebody?
I want him to duel his own party. It seems like that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's the only one I see with common sense that's really realizing that they screwed up, and they shouldn't have allowed all that to happen.
I think that they know exactly what they did, and they're trying to reload their political guns. I don't know that they're putting the right ammo in or not, but I think that, look, parties win, parties lose. That's what the Democrats taught the Republicans at the turn of the century. It's not always going to be us. That's why it's really a uniparty. They just, one side says they're of the Democratic stripe, and the other one says they're of the Republican stripe.
No, I understand that. Everybody's throwing rocks, here and there, but I mean, I think that really, really hurt the country. It's still hurting states that are out there that, we're still in the state of emergency, I think, right, in Massachusetts.
I haven't heard of it being lifted.
So, there's effects for what they're doing, you know what I mean? And I think what they did on this last administration, not that every administration is perfect, but I think the effects of what they allowed to happen is really, it did really change and hurt in the country.
I certainly look at it from where we are. We're here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I wonder if we didn't have our law on the book that basically allows people to come here and will provide them shelter. If we didn't have that law, how things would have changed, not only here in the Commonwealth, but how people here in Massachusetts would feel about the whole immigration issue.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. It's a mess, and I hope that doesn't go through. That, I guess, was a representative of Attleboro wants the ICE agents to not wear masks. So, which to me I think is asinine. So
why
we should have him go out? I don't agree. I think they should protect themselves, protect their families, because there's a hatred right now towards them.
Well, okay, but isn't there's a hatred toward people, and part of the problem is ICE doesn't always get the right person. And if you don't know who they are, if they're not identifying themselves, what are we supposed? And let me put the shoe in your foot for a second. You're walking down the street, and these people that are masked come up to you, and they say they're going to take you away, and you're trying to say, well, who are you and why? And they're not responding to you, and you try to resist. All of a sudden, there's another charge on you for resisting arrest. Is that right?
Right. Listen, I can understand your point of view there, but I'm pretty sure that these guys that are going out there, they're ICE agents. I mean, they're clearly IC police, and they must be identifying themselves, ICE agent, federal agent, whatever the case may be.
If they were, we wouldn't be going down this road.
Well, let's look at it this way. How many police officers are shown their faces and everything, and people are still resisting? So,
and the police officers are showing their face. Yes, they are. But, at least you have an idea that they are a police officer.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just feel for them on the job
fair enough.
That they shouldn't.
Fair enough. So then would it be okay if the purported bad people covered their face?
They do. They're all
Really?
They're all doing that. All the bad people right now, they're doing all these riots. They got all their faces covered, their heads covered.
And didn't the president try to come up with a law saying that you couldn't do that?
Yeah, I know, but they're criminals.
No, you're not a criminal. You're not a criminal until you are convicted.
They're doing criminal acts.
Okay, but what the law here is trying to say, the reason why, I forgot his name, Hawkins of Attleboro filed the bill, what he was saying is that these ICE agents are doing criminal acts.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess I beg to differ on that one. They put us in this position to do this. So, if they wouldn't allowed all these people to come in, we're going to have to be doing this. So
all right, man. Well, I don't know that Hawkins did. I think the law was on the books long before he got there. But I hear where you're coming from with that. It is a two-way street. You can't tell one people that it's all right for them to protect their face and saying they're doing it for the agents and for the families, and not let civilians, the people that pay those agents, to be allowed to do the same thing.
All righty.
All right, man. Thank you.
Have a good day.
I do appreciate your call. 508-996-0500. Hey, it does work both ways. But again, we can resolve this by simply having a duel. And how would you feel if I'm going to use Trump for the sake of conversation. Trump against Gavin Newsom, all right? That would be good. I don't want to put Maura Healey on the spot. We could, but Gavin Newsom, where California, and believe me, I experienced this firsthand, how people in California, the majority of people in California are fighting vehemently against the immigration policies of this particular federal government. So why not Gavin Newsom in a duel against Donald Trump? Newsom wins. We have to find a way to allow the immigrants to come in, stay in, and be processed here and get some type of ID so when they do go to work, they get taxed. Anybody that's a bad person, legitimate bad person, they get the Denver boot right out of the country. If Trump wins, the policy that he's pushing stays in motion. Not birthright. Birthright will still have to go through the courts. That would be pretty good. And then locally, Shane Burgo against John Mitchell. And then they can duel over the budget. We can get rid of all the name calling. We can stop all of that with the nice code of honor duel. You know what? You start talking, there, two things are going to happen. You start talking like that, and a few people will take you up on it. But the majority of folks, and I'm talking about the people that would be in the duel, all of a sudden, they're going to bite their lip. You're not going to hear crap coming out of their mouth if they think that they're going to have to go up against the duel. Can you imagine this? John Mitchell, Shane Burgo. All right, take your steps. Here we go.
Ready. Present.
I don't know which one won, but one of them lost. Hello. Hello. Oop, let me try it like this. That better? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, I think you're onto something with that dual thing, man. I really do.
Yeah.
You can monetize this, like put it on pay-per-view. Madison
oh, man,
Square Garden.
you took next hour away from me.
Damn, like, you eliminate property taxes, no property taxes, duels. All the funds that go from these duels go to pay off, any type of property taxes or whatever is needed and eliminate. I think that's a great thing. I think you're onto something for real.
For once, my P's and Q's are showing. Oh, no, I'm sitting on them. I'm sorry. No, but you know what? One or two things, as I say, either people will indeed do a duel to save their honor, or they will learn their lesson.
Yeah, they've learned to keep their mouth shut. That'd be like I said, you're onto something. Yeah. You have a bunch of bases literally covered. It's like it's easy to talk, but when it's time to man up, people are cowards. So it would be one of those things. You'd get a lot more people minding their own damn business, right? So you cover that. You monetize it to eliminate any type of taxes. Like, you start off with the elderly. Like once you hit retirement age 65, no more property taxes. That way elderly can stay in their homes. And Yeah, and you build off that. I think you're on target, man. I like it.
Wow. You took it to another level. The property tax thing with the elderly, that would be pretty. You think we could make it work?
I'm thinking the elderly would love it, and they would love, they're old school, so they would love the dual idea. They would love that whole experience. It'd be like the Coliseum all over again.
There you go. Do we have a Coliseum in New Bedford? I know we've got the New Bedford High football field, and I kind of favor the greater New Bedford Volk Field.
Listen, forget about the windmills. We're going to put this on the waterfront with views of the ocean and everything. You pull up on the Sea Streak onto this big, nice, beautiful dock. Like the whole experience. I'm telling you, it would make New Bedford. I'm telling you, you're onto something, Brian.
All right,
really
man.
Are.
Hey, I like it. Thank you. You've added immensely to this whole idea of dueling. Thanks for the call. 508-996-0500. Look, we can bring it back. You can amend the laws here in the Commonwealth to bring back dueling. It might be great for all of the gateway cities. Doesn't just have to be New Bedford. Fall River. There are places with gangs. There are places that need extra money. And we've heard, at this radio station, we constantly hear from people that are 65 years and older who are having a tough time financially right now because everything is going up. I thank the caller because I never thought about the property tax scheme for seniors. That would be excellent. Any takers? 508-996-0500. Should we bring back the Code of Honor, a.k.a. dueling?
It will be because we organized and forced a government to speak to our needs.
We are deeply disappointed that the court did not decide today that a nationwide injunction is warranted so that no matter where in the United States a baby is born, that baby will continue to be a citizen. We take that disappointment forward, and the work continues to win this case and to defend the rights of every child born in this country and to uphold our history and our Constitution.
Andrea Campbell, right there, our new neighbor. Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, she is our new neighbor. She was supposed to, Andrea Campbell is our state attorney general, and she bought a property in Dartmouth and planned on moving in May. And considering we are in July right now, I'm taking it for granted that she moved in. Now, I can't expect you to hear every minute of every program that I do. So at the beginning, I was going down the fact that on this date in 1804, our first Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, died. He died the day after being shot in the stomach by Aaron Burr, maybe the most famous duel in United States history. They dueled over a lot of what we would call petty politics. But I guess back in those days, it wasn't. And it was the early days of the new nation. At any rate, Aaron Burr was charged in New York and New Jersey. The shooting, the duel, actually took place in New Jersey. Both were residents of the state of New York, and they both left from New York to go to New Jersey to have this duel. They were both willing members of a duel. Now, there might be a little question about how serious Alexander Hamilton took it. Well, he took the bullet. So that was serious enough. And He certainly was no so-called chicken when it came to dueling. He was known to have been in at least 10 duels. 10. That's a lot. 7 where he was the primary dueler, and 3 where he was a wingman. Can you imagine being a wing person for somebody who's getting into a duel? Yeah, I'll stick up for you. Really? Are you doing that? You know, I kind of made the joke, Alexander Hamilton saying to his wife, yeah, I'm a wingman for Willard. Willard's getting married, and I'm not exactly sure why. I decided, he said, could you do me a favor? And I said, sure. Well, I need a wingman for a duel that I'm in. Well, you'd already said sure, so. But 3 times. 3 times. Honor is a big thing. And I wonder what would happen if we were to bring dueling back, some type of authorized dueling. Caller made a couple of good points. You can sell tickets to the event. It would be like the Roman Colosseum. People could come and pay money, and maybe you raise enough money so senior citizens don't have to pay property taxes. Whatever the duel is about, the problem gets rectified in theory, or until the next duel when it comes up again, which is more than likely to happen. But here's how I look at it. I see what's going on in the Gaza Strip. If you had whomever the new leader of Hamas is go up against Netanyahu, do a winner takes all. Netanyahu wins, they get the Gaza Strip and maybe the West Bank. I mean, that's not really Hamas's territory, but you get where I'm going. If the Hamas guy wins, then it's the way that they mapped it out, and the Palestinians get a homeland. Seems like a pretty fair deal instead of involving a whole bunch of other. The Israelis have lost a couple of thousand troops. Nobody really talks about that, but I'm sure their families would certainly like to have that family member back. In the United States, we're losing a lot of money with our efforts helping one of the two combatants. So let the two combatants, leader of Hamas, go up against the leader of Israel. Or maybe we could do it like this. Most of the time, the leaders themselves, they don't want to fight. But maybe they choose, who their Hercules is going to be. And let the two Hercs go at it. Feel sorry for the Hercs. Locally, Mayor Mitchell against Shane Burgo. That would be a duel to watch. You could probably do it down at the Fort Tabor, Fort Rodman. Do it down there. Maybe have an oceanside view. Maybe put them out on a barge. Let them duel it out. And then the winner gets the budget the way that they want. Instead of this petty fighting that's going on. Press release comes out from one. Press release comes out from the other. One is threatening, well, I'm going to do austerity. And the other one's saying, well, if you'd come to talk to us a little bit more about, is it really necessary? Is that what the people want to hear? The people want solutions to problems. Clearly, these two, at this particular time, don't seem to be able to come up with one. So let's just let them duel. Let's get them a permit from the police department and set up a duel. What would be the weapon of choice? Pistols or swords? Mayor Mitchell seems like he could handle a sword pretty well, but so does Shane Burgo. I'm not quite sure how either would do with a one-shot pistol. It's got to be a one-shot pistol. You don't want them being able to reload. That would not be a fair, honorable duel. And what do the people get besides the satisfaction that they don't have to read about or hear talk hosts talking about why ex-politician is going off on a fellow or fellow politician? You know, this would have been really good back in the Gilley day, too. Gilley against Linda Morad. Instead of Linda having to kick him out of the chambers, let him duel. No rough stuff. Just, either a sword or a one-shot pistol. Any bets both sides would stop? Any bets? Yeah, I tend to agree that they would. And all the power for us for coming up with the blended, splendid idea. It's amazing. You start talking duel, or as the previous caller stated, when it gets down to, the talk, that's one thing. But now when you have to walk that talk, it's an entirely different ball game. And I would love to see who's going to show up. If you want, I'll be the master of ceremonies. Introducing in the blue